And we're live.
We're live.
Excellent. It's much easier to tell when we're live. I still love this software so much more.
Yeah. What are you
Hey everybody, I'm Sean.
I'm Jen.
I'm Adam.
Yeah, we found Adam, and we
There he is.
we chloroformed his tea and made him come in here with us. So.
Chloroformed his tea.
Yeah,
That
did some
doesn't
other things
work.
to me as well.
Well, I'm really bad at it.
I know,
That's why I'm
right?
still awake.
It was really awkward. Just
The
walk
other
up with
things
a
you
rag
did
in
to
the
me,
tea.
though, were
Yeah,
quite
spot
nice.
on. Yeah, okay,
So,
fair enough.
let's do that again.
Yeah. Okay, so before
You not so much.
Yeah, sorry.
Before we get started too much, you and I were talking very briefly before the thing while we were waiting for her to run back to the hotel and get the microphone.
Well, I had to run back all the way to the motel and back.
And
Okay.
so you were asking me what we talked about with Itzik, and I said that he covered one of the big things that we covered was a big mistake that he had made in production. And you said, well, we've all done that, like last week. So tell us about what happened last week.
Oh, you're starting with that.
Yeah, man. Are you kidding? I don't want to forget it because I want to hear what his customers get for their money.
My customers get excellent service, fantastic, top quality
Zero
software,
mistake.
and occasionally very, very small mistake, like when I do a data load of, I don't know, a couple 100 million rows in the middle of the business day and lock all the queries for 6 hours or so.
That's very,
Nice.
very minor. And I'm sure that was years ago.
It was last week.
Years ago.
So okay.
Anyway.
So
Yeah.
what is the worst thing you've ever done on a production
That'd be
system? Really?
Really?
Probably. Well,
Because my worst thing ever has been well documented on this show. So
Yeah, he set fire to something.
yeah.
oh, okay.
No, not really.
Not really.
Well, I did actually. This one wasn't that bad because I knew about it. I knew what was going on. But when I was a little younger and a little,
Greener.
yeah, I guess that's a word. So I used to start up a transaction, an implicit transaction. I connect to the production server and I want to do some work. And I'd start a transaction so I could roll it back.
Yeah.
So one day I was doing something, and I connected to the production server, started my transaction, and I did some work or whatever, and went to lunch. And
Oh, dear.
I came back, and everything was, on fire, effectively. People running around. What's going on? I'm the only person who knows anything about the database. So I have, 3 levels of management standing behind me, screaming in my ear, what's going on? Why is the database not responding?
Let
And
me check into that.
I look at my screen and right away I realize what happened.
Oh, wait, I forgot to push the
But-
on button.
So I didn't want to say this. So the only thing I could think of, I ran dbcc show config because I knew it would spit out a bunch of meaningless garbled
Nice.
stuff to
Right.
them. And I said, well, let me start investigating. So I started doing dbcc show config on the various tables. So that was really the only command I could think of, on the fly. And it starts spitting out stuff. And
WCC page would have.
I'm going to need... I didn't even know that.
Wait, let me read the
fair
data.
So I'm like, I'm going to need about 5 minutes to go over this. As soon as they walk away, roll back. All goes away. So that would probably be the worst because I didn't even fess up to it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I say there's nothing wrong with if it's a quick fix, something like that, right? You don't have to fess up to everything. We're always talking about manning up to things that you do in production and whatnot, right?
I'm going to inject with this one more
But
time.
if you're truly doing something that really isn't that big of a deal, right, and you can stop it right now, then you go, must have been a glitch. Or, yeah, I found a rogue thing and I turned it off. And
You know what? Now that we've completely tarnished your reputation, let's go ahead and do the full-on, who are you, title and all that BS, so that the 5 people that are watching this don't know who you are.
well, it's Adam Machanic.
Yeah, he's gonna punch you.
Yeah, I know he is. Trust me, I've got one.
I'll wait till we're off camera.
So
Okay.
I don't want to embarrass
So
Sean.
who the hell are you?
That's it.
You're
Cheers.
Adam Machanic, and you don't have a title. So job title. You don't have to give
Job
where you
title,
work.
I do database development consulting.
Woohoo! That is 2 devs we've had right here in this room. Two of my people.
Yeah.
Fist bump on that.
Fist bump.
So yeah, I do database development.
Did you hurt yourself? You're a dev.
Thank you, John. I'm obsessed with SQL CLR.
Really? Okay. I've done very little with it. I have done a couple things. I have steered more people away from it than I have steered them towards it. No, not because...
Well, that's just ignorance.
No, not because
You're
it's
just
bad, but because they were
ignorant.
trying to use it. They were trying to use it inappropriately, and I didn't want to set them up to fail.
Okay.
They were trying to use it simply because it was brand new and they'd heard of it, and I think that's a bad idea.
Okay.
So I steered them away, and I think I did the right thing. and I have also steered someone towards it as well, but not nearly as often.
Okay.
At my last gig, they needed to do some really, really super enhanced string stuff with regex, and
Yeah, that's a good use case for it.
yeah.
Very, very fast.
Y'all continue.
So,
And I actually use it more often than not these days as a streaming media. And I actually released a tool set recently on my blog, kind of under the radar a little bit, just because it's a beta.
On your blog, which is
sequelblog.com, which if you are watching this show and you don't look at sequelblog.com, you are not very good at your job.
you're not watching the show.
So,
okay, but
you
gotta
know,
give you
anyway,
the
just to
promo-
generalize.
the promo thing.
So sequelblog.com, and I've released this thing called the Query Parallelizer, and which maybe if I've written it incorrectly will become the Query Paralyzer, but we will see. But it actually takes queries and splits them up on multiple threads and does parallel processing in the CLR memory space. So it can really, really increase the speed of queries when
Nice.
properly applied.
Okay, so
Properly.
so I don't know. Did we cover what are some improper uses for CLR?
Yes, Sean.
No, we did not cover that. Well, anything that I would say anything that T-SQL does just fine. I think the appropriate uses for CLR are
What
things
does
like,
T-SQL do just fine?
well, if you just
Insert
want to,
update,
if you
delete,
just want to, okay, so a really good example of something that I steered them away from. They wanted to concatenate two fields.
Okay.
So they had a phone number and they had an area code, and they wanted to put them together
Okay.
in the query, right?
You wanted to bring that into SQL Zero?
You see what I mean?
See,
You
you're
see
on
what I
that.
mean?
That's suspicious.
So that's my point. So just doing simple concatenation like that is fine.
But check
Right?
this out. The replace function, I ran some tests. I was actually shocked. I just did it because I was bored one day. And I tested replace versus creating a CLR UDF. And over 1,000 characters, the CLR UDF, the replace, the performance goes kind of like this. Right about 1,000 characters, it just shoots up where it starts taking a really long time. And the CLR, nice and linear.
Right.
And
Okay.
it's I've tested up to I think 300,000 characters or something like that. At that point, the built-in T-SQL replace function is 8 times slower than
Wow.
calling it a
So
CLR.
so that's actually a really good topic to get into. Things that you write, and God, we see this so much, don't we? Things that you write against your current data set that you don't realize don't scale well, and in 5 years things just start getting worse and worse. I mean, performance just starts doing this, right? And nobody can fit, and it has to be rewritten. And well, this new version of SQL handles this better, or we get bigger hardware is the best thing, right? But things like that are really hard to even think of to benchmark. I'm not sure that would have crossed my mind to even benchmark. I'm not a diehard developer like you
Right.
guys are, so I would have used replace and said, no, why is it performing so much worse? Maybe SQL's hit some kind of magic threshold.
Well, there are thresholds.
There are
There's
thresholds.
the 100 versus 101. Have you seen that?
Right. I'm not sure what
If
you're
you
talking
do, I forgot the exact formula. Oh, it's okay. So if you do select top 100, you phrase the query the right way, and you can Google this and find out exactly what you have to do. But it's basically you cause a big sort to occur, and you do select top 100, and it'll take like forever to return the results. And you do select top 101, and right back. Just boom, and it's because there's actually a threshold in the engine where sorts will use a different algorithm for 100 versus anything greater than 100. And
I'm going to Google that.
it's
That's interesting.
ridiculous. So, and I think Paul White, as I recall, has a blog post on it on, guess what website?
SQL blog.
Midnight DBA?
SQL blog. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Is
love
it penthouse.com?
self-promotion.
Absolutely.
Penthouse.com. That's probably a better use of your time than
Yeah,
SQL blog or Midnight DBA. So,
Yeah.
Oh, whoa! Let's not go too far.
So we
That's
have.
still
I'll get back to that in a second, but yeah. So
This is why we put the computer.
that's
so
absolutely
fast.
excellent. I mean, the thresholds do exist, but we hear that so much. When
It's
something's been
overused,
working, it's so overused. When something's been working just fine for 3 years, 5 years, and it worked fine yesterday.
Right.
And all of a sudden today, because I went to lunch and came back and things are going slow, well, maybe SQL hit some kind of threshold. And I've got that really bad in my company where people, our big database, right, is almost a terabyte now. And people are, well, SQL's just not meant for these large data sets. It's just not as good at these large data sets. And you're just like, what?
Well, it is more difficult.
Yes.
It does. It's easy. SQL Servers, that's the problem. That's one of the problems with SQL Server, is it's so easy to install. You put in the CD, and you hit next a few times, and it's really easy to get a small set
More
of data.
More than a few times, next.
And it's this really...
Okay, so 9 times.
And it's this really beautiful, simple interface. Look at that. I open it up, and there are all my databases, and I can have it write queries for me.
Right.
And anyone can do this. What do I need you for? Yeah, I said that a few times.
But a lot of my business is going into shops, small to medium companies, that they just set it up and they're running fine, and then eventually things hit a point where it just doesn't work anymore, and that's when you need the skills, and that's...
Yeah, well, there are thresholds in that sense, right? If something's poorly designed, poorly something, you are going to reach a threshold where no engine on the planet is going to do a good job for you, right? The number of times I've saved companies from going to Oracle by simply indexing their database.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
we
need to go to Oracle.
Star. You remember 3 jobs back, I was a rock star for walking in one day, and there were 5 people clustered around a desk going, oh God, this query takes forever. And I walked in, and there was no index on the table, no index whatsoever. I looked at the query, and I went, here, let me do this for you. Boom. It came back instantly, and they're like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's right.
So I went into a customer, and they had... it wasn't a huge database. I don't remember even how big it was, but they had maybe 50 tables in the database.
Okay.
And the developer was very defensive.
I've never run into that before.
So
don't look at me. I'm not a developer.
Not you.
Well, okay. Anyway.
We weren't indexing. We weren't coding for performance.
No. She said, I've done all the indexes. I've done this right. I've done this right. We don't need you here. I've done this right. And I wasn't hired by her, so I kept doing my job. I went in and I looked, and she had created many indexes. As a matter of fact, one index per column in every table in the database, non-clustered index with just that column.
Sure, that's useful.
And she couldn't figure out why that wasn't working for her.
Did she have a clue as to why her inserts and updates were so slow? Was there...
So, but there's a lot of people out there, and they know just enough to be really, really dangerous. Like, this should work. It's an index.
Yeah, it is an index. Right?
Index is good.
Yeah, I have a hard time with explaining to the devs downstairs why, if you've got indexes on column 1, 2, and 3, how sometimes you actually have to have a separate index on columns 2 and 3, and sometimes 3 and 2. And it's really hard to. Well, why do I have to duplicate all of these? And I get it conceptually. I get it, right? Why should I have to? It's in there. Why can't it just use it? I understand that, guys.
For the exact same reason that you have multiple listing for things in a book index.
Well, I'm just saying.
Once we start making those parallels again, then it all should become clear.
Yes. So, do you get any specific perks from being a SQL celebrity? Well, I mean, because all the
you're getting perks
all the really
this
big,
time around.
Yes, all the big SQL celebrities get some sort of perks. Either some vendor saves something, a special piece of swag for them at a booth.
Well, they sent me someone to my room last. Oh, wait a minute.
that
you
isn't
promised you wouldn't tell, and I told you I came on my own.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Everyone just took
I
that
meant
wrong.
every word of that.
Oddly enough, he meant that clean initially.
Is that why your pants had that weird...
Exactly.
All right, good night, folks. Actually, gotta get some water. Carry on.
Yes, there's water right there.
No, I don't get any perks.
Really? You don't get, hand jobs from Microsoft or...
Is that a perk?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess no. No, really, I don't get anything. There's nothing.
Really? Because because we get some things. I mean,
What do you get? I want it.
I know, right? Well, we've got some good ties with some vendors who.
Oh, okay. So I get free software licenses, but that's not.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about that. Sometimes I'll have a vendor that'll pull me aside and they've saved a special piece of swag for me.
Really?
Yeah.
He's also not shy about asking for stuff, so he sort of put himself out there.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that, you know, when we were talking
Right,
about that
because I was
yesterday.
actually asking you guys yesterday,
How do you get swag?
how do I've actually never gotten swag at a conference because I always do carry-on.
Yeah.
And this is the first time in 5 years that I've actually brought a big piece of luggage. And I'm hoping to fill it with swag. And right after this, I'm going to go to the vendor area and
Absolutely.
I'm going to try to figure out
Get
how
you a
to...
little trick or treat bag and just walk up and use Sean's line. What do you got?
Yep.
What do you got? Okay, I'm
What do
gonna
you got?
try this.
What's
All right,
your swag?
what do you got?
Right?
Okay.
No, but I was, as
Right,
far
I
as
don't know.
perks, I'm thinking small because I'm so touched. We're actually getting groupie love. I showed you the bag that Andy Letourneau
Yeah,
made.
that's awesome.
That's really, I'll show that off in a second. But we were just approached by another person and given this, an original Atari cartridge signed by the developer who is his father.
What?
I know, right?
That's ridiculous. Hey, check
Brought
this
it
out.
specifically for me. What is? Oh my God! It's a Space Invader.
Nice.
A Space Invader cups. That is awesome.
Can
That's,
there, I don't know.
That's,
Yeah, you
that's,
can kinda see it.
that's pretty cool. But as far we're doing a nerd off now. And Lady Runa on Twitter, Andy Letourneau, made this for me. It's a purse out of a Windows 2K. Okay, I just had to show that off. Put it right
Yeah,
in front
I
of your
asked her
face.
why Windows 2K. She said because, you know, it's hard to find good hardcover books that you want to destroy.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And
So-
and you know, there's a
Could
limited
have at least
supply.
gone with like Inside Sequel 7.
If she
Right,
had it,
right.
she would have done it. But this is what she had. So everybody send your cool book covers
Yeah, I
to
have
Lady
Inside
Runa.
Sequel 2000 still.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a little faded though, but it's not like
Yeah.
that. That's in like
If you'd
really
like
good
a
quality.
if you'd like a Kindle cover or something, then
I don't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really would not like a handbag.
maybe
Personally.
not. I wasn't
So.
going to make assumptions.
It'd be a man bag.
A man bag. What do they call those? Man purses?
European
I think they're
carry-all.
called man bags.
Oh.
It's a European carry-all. Yeah, Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, listen. Okay, so you just reminded me. We have been we've been estimating how good a developer is based on how soft his hands are.
All right, let's do the hand check.
Let's see.
Oh man,
I don't know, man. You're pretty baby soft.
that's
man.
pretty baby
Is
soft.
that a good thing or bad
I
thing?
feel
Well, because of all the
gross.
time they sit up in the middle of the night, they usually have
The
the
bottle of
lotion sitting
lotion.
by their desk.
Here,
Do
wait.
they now?
Here's the
Are
setup.
they at home
Here's the
or?
setup. Yeah, at home. So here's the setup.
There you
Here's
go.
what it looks like.
Now he gets it.
Now we get.
All right, and screenshot.
Yeah, exactly. So we judge how much coating you do by how much lotion you put.
Well, wouldn't there be a callus that would form after some time?
No, that's what the lotion is. Hello.
Moving right along in search of good times. Okay,
Okay.
So
I'm writing lotion jokes for this first portion of the show.
didn't I hear correctly that you'd been pulled in to teach some of the MCM modules before?
Yes, what time is it? I guess this won't go live. So
No, I won't go live for another week.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'm talking about in the past.
42.
Yeah, so I was up until May of this year teaching 3 days of the 15 of the MCM
Right.
course. So,
Okay.
and I was teaching.
And what specifically were you teaching?
That's what I was just about to tell you.
I was just gonna say, are you gonna drop a bombshell on us?
I can make an announcement. Well, there's going to be an announcement made
You
today.
tell us when we can release it, and we will release
Well,
it.
it's
after
gonna be made
that.
today.
Okay,
So-
well then.
Well,
drop the
Ozar
bombshell.
already told me that the press release has gone out for the new MCM.
Oh, okay, cool.
He told me that. at
But
press
I don't know about this, so
So
go.
the MCM program for the last 2 years, it actually there was an MCA program that started in 2005 or 2006.
Right.
Microsoft Certified Architect, and then they rejiggered it as Microsoft Certified Master in 2008 or so.
Right.
And I was involved in that process. I wrote some of the courseware, and I wrote some of the tests, and I was teaching a bunch of different topics, dev topics mainly.
Are you kind of getting an idea that he's sort of a big deal? You starting to get that idea? Good.
I'm not. Go ahead.
Thank you. I like that.
Well, teaching MCM, kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was fun too. But anyway, and it's really fun. I see a lot of people here at the show who have taught, including Ozar, your favorite
My favorite
guest.
Yes.
So, but anyway, I can say I taught Ozar everything he knows. But anyway, maybe not everything.
Maybe he didn't learn all of it, but bazinga.
But I taught it.
There you go. So anyway, it was $18,000
Right.
in 3 weeks, and you go
What the boggin?
and you at the end of each week you take a test, and then you take a big huge 6-hour test on the final day, like the Saturday after spending 3 weeks. It's just ridiculous. And What's up?
I'm talking to him. Go ahead.
Oh, you need the Kleenex. You have the lotion there too. So
Yeah, well, it's
what's
a
going
little
on?
different for me.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Does this test work on female developers, by the way?
I'm gonna get back to you on that.
Okay, let me know.
Okay.
So anyway, I digress.
Sorry.
So anyway, no one except for Microsoft. Well, not no one, but very few people outside of Microsoft were showing up for this thing. And the reason is that who can spend $18,000 and
3 weeks.
3 weeks of their life, and you have to pay for like a hotel
Sure.
for 3 weeks and food for 3 weeks. I mean, it's a lot of expense. And
In-room entertainment.
yeah, lotion. I mean,
Yeah.
The lotion costs
That's,
alone.
that's
Bank
actually
with
part.
someone.
That's actually part of the welcome packet,
yes.
from what I hear.
Well, you don't want just any lotion. You need a nice sandalwood scent, or
You
Just
just
be too
fit,
distracting.
You just fit right in on this show. You are truly one of us. Okay, carry on.
cheers. So anyway, they're doing away with that, and they're changing it. This is the announcement that's going to be made today here at the show.
It's free?
There's no class anymore.
Oh, okay.
So they're eliminating the 3-week class. You actually had to take the 3-week class as
Right.
part of the thing, which I think was a good thing. It was really cool. The first week was Paul and Kimberly, and then I did the first 3 days of the second week, and then it was like Gert Drapers for a day, and then I can't remember who was next, and then Greg Lowe for the final week.
Wow.
And so really good high-end training, and really good bonding experience. Like the people who went through these rotations together for 3 weeks, from what I can tell, became like really good friends.
Yeah,
It's
like
sequel
it's
to
like the skulls, you know.
Yeah. There you go. But anyway, so they're doing away with that now. You can take the test, and I don't remember how much it costs. It's still expensive. It's like
The written test is $500,
Oh.
and the lab is going to be like 2,000.
Oh, okay.
I just know
You just
that.
happen to have the numbers.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Good for
You
you.
didn't tell me yet. Or if
So
you did, I forgot.
anyway, and you'll be able to take classes. Unfortunately, these are going to be mock classes, Microsoft official courseware.
What an
I don't
unfortunate
know if your
name.
viewers have experienced any mock before, or have you guys ever taken a Microsoft
I have
official course?
not,
No.
and it shows, doesn't it?
I'm embarrassed to admit I've written a few Microsoft official courses.
Okay, so
And,
there's an undercurrent of something going on with this mock thing. So tell me what's the joke?
the quality is just ridiculously bad.
Yeah.
And
That's what I was afraid of.
It's terrible. So basically, you are given, as a writer, and I know this because I've done it, you're given a outline and a list of topics and number of minutes of class time to spend on each topic. So I did a course. It was like
Wow.
2774.
How is that determined?
I don't know. So
By marketing.
So I wrote this course, and I was given literally, it was like 5 minutes of class time to talk about caching in like how to cache data in .NET, and then 5 minutes of class time to discuss
This is for the master's level.
No.
No,
This is
no,
a
this is
master's
for-
level.
okay,
This is
okay.
previous to
Okay.
to my being involved in that. But anyway, this is how mock is done.
Okay.
And so I'm praying that they're going to create a better quality course for masters, but MSL has a very bad track record in this area. So I'm hoping. Now the good news is you don't really have to do mock, because Kimberly and Paul are out there. SQLskills.com.
You can go out and get yourself the
Yeah,
education.
they'll train you. You can go to Kaylin Delaney. She'll train you.
No,
You
by
can go
that-
to Boston. Hold on for 1 second while
Okay.
I pitch my own goods here. You can go to BostonSQLtraining.com. We are one of the training providers that is being mentioned in the press release, which also includes SQL Skills and Kaylin and one other provider. And so Boston SQL Training, and we will offer you master's level courses, not using mock. So you can
nice.
come get the real deal.
Well,
Nice.
So
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So you can just go up to Kaylin and go, train me to be a master. But
well,
it's
sure,
probably
and hand her
part of a
10K.
class.
Here you go.
yeah, well, it won't be cheap. And
Yeah.
neither will Boston SQL Training. Just FYI.
Yeah. Define not cheap.
Oh, and it's not. I mean, our courses are. Let's see. We just had Andy Leonard do an SSIS course, for example, and I think it was $1,800 for 3 days, something like that.
Okay.
And we had we had Kim and Paul do a week earlier this year, and I think that was $3,100 for a week. So that's actually cheap. It's not cheap if you think about it. Like $3,100 is not cheap, but actually for courses it is cheap. Like New Horizons for some guy who has just picked up the book and flipped through it to teach a week-long mock is like 3,900 or 4,000.
Yeah.
So, and then you can get Kim and Paul. Paul wrote DVCC. Kim is married to the guy who wrote DVCC.
No, she knows her
no,
shit.
she knows her stuff.
You're dissing on Kim, man.
No, I'm not dissing Kim. She knows her stuff completely, but and then she married the guy who wrote DVCC. So,
Yeah, that helps.
It's like
The power team.
double. It's like if you've ever played a role-playing game. It's like, broadsword plus 20.
Yeah, sure.
Or is it
Sure.
plus 20 broadsword?
Because that's, I mean,
Your nerd cred just went up even further with all the viewers.
I've heard so many horror stories about the mock training where like I said, I've never had one, right? But where you go in and the instructor only knows what's on that page and can't really answer any questions at all. And
Well,
good
the
for him
instructor
because he's
doesn't
only
look at
got
me
5
when you
minutes.
said
So
Well, the instructor doesn't know what's on the page. That's the problem.
yeah,
They just because they didn't write the course, so it's tough. Actually, I did when I wrote the courses. We did they were all new courses at the time, and we did this webcast. I'm gonna just totally insult a bunch of MCTs now. But I'm sure there's good MCTs out there. But anyway, we did this webcast about the new courses, and I was talking about prerequisites that you should understand in order to teach the course. And some French MCT sent me this private message during the webcast, and he was like, I don't remember how it was phrased.
Do the accent. Go ahead.
Well, it was written
Well, it's
in all
French.
caps. It was written in all
Then
caps.
do it loudly in French accent. Go ahead. We'll translate.
Our students do not come to hear me.
That was vaguely Arnoldish, but
that's
go ahead.
kind of German.
To
Yeah.
hear what I know. Okay, well maybe it's German.
It's whatever I sound like.
They're here. They're coming to for us to teach them the course, not to hear what I know.
Oh, dude.
And when he sent me that, I was like, wow, this guy sucks.
that's I've taken one official course ever, and it wasn't an official Microsoft, but I took a course on networking essentials when I first got my MCSE, and it was at the junior college at school, and the guy that taught the course, he was so good. He was the guy that was in charge of putting together the network and the wireless connectivity for the new stadium out there, and I was like, wow. I mean, so the guy really knew what he was doing, right? So, I mean, it was just so, oh yeah, well, when you do this, and it says this, but really more in practice. And we had a guy in there who was a line installer for DSL and T1 lines, and he came to the table with a bunch of stuff. It was the best class I've ever had in my life, just because we didn't sit there in the book and just go over stuff, right? I mean, we got the real world stuff. I learned more in that class than I ever have in anything. So, yeah, that guy's completely wrong, dude. We're here to hear your industry experience.
Because there's a very big difference between, even if it's a good book written by somebody who really knows their stuff, they don't have the space and the time, even in a book, to go through and say, this is how the party line is, and this is how it really is, every single time for every single subject.
To read Paul Nielsen's book is one thing, but to sit down and talk to Paul Nielsen and ask him stuff about his book, right?
Yeah.
Or to read something you write is one thing, but to sit down and actually have you say, okay, I didn't have enough words here, or we couldn't say what we
that
needed
number
to say,
out of my ass because they made me.
Or it was beyond the scope of the
Right.
book. Here's what you really need to know about this. It's completely different, right? I mean, it really is.
I want to hear you guys with the new MCM announcement. I want to hear you guys fight it out over what you think of the direction of this, because I'm all like, oh, that sounds good, but I do that with everything. I'm a very lighthearted person.
I'll go first.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I'm on the fence about it. I mean, I could see it going either way. A part of me says I'm glad that people don't have to pay $18,000 plus, right? We'll say $25K by the time it's all said and done, right? Hotel and all that, right? So I'm glad that people don't have to pay that. But at the same time, I think that was sort of a nice weeding out process. It's because there's a huge NDA attached to this thing, right? I mean, you're not allowed to talk about the exam and whatnot. If you pay that much money, take that much time out of your schedule, go through the whole process, you're not going to say a damn word. I mean, you ensure the integrity of the exam is going to stay what it is, right? And now you're opening it. It's much cheaper, so these testing guys can send people out for $500 to take the exam and remember as much as they want. And
they're doing the exams at only certain high what are they
Right,
called?
but
high
that's-
security.
Right, but that's not to say that
centers.
somebody can't go there and remember 10 questions.
No,
Which
yeah.
And
is
then
how
somebody
most of
else
the
can
brain
go
dumps
there
are.
and remember
No, the
10
brain
questions.
dumps are usually actually employees of the
Oh yeah.
training center, and they're crazy. I've written exam questions for the developer exams, the MCITP exams, and I've gone on the brain dump site and I can see, like, the day the exam is released, you can see the exact text,
Yeah.
the answers,
Wow.
and they do actually know whoever's doing this. I don't know if they can get the answers or somehow from the test. I don't know, or they just know their stuff. But they do. They mark the right answer, and they even have screen caps. Like if we show an image in the test of a schema or something,
Wow.
they'll have a screen cap up there. Like
Wow.
it's like the whole thing.
Wow.
It's crazy. So
So my take on it is I'm glad to see it coming out of that, but at the same time I'm also sad for the reasons that you discussed earlier, because there is something to going there and studying at the mothership for 3 weeks,
Right.
and being part of something, right, and studying really, and it's an actual event. I mean, it's a
Right.
real thing that now you just don't have, and I think it's going to be a lot less exclusive, and I think there is a chance that it does get opened up to people who aren't truly masters anymore, because, I mean, maybe the lab will help with that. I don't know.
well, the lab's still going to be difficult, and it's still going to be a lab, but you can't brain dump a lab.
Right.
You could you could say here are the you could brain dump a lab
Yeah.
actually, because you can say here are the problems on the lab. There's only so much they could test.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out.
It is. It is.
I kind of feel like they're watering it down, but they have to because they won't make any money. So,
But does every cert you do have to be about making money?
well,
I
what
mean,
else is the point? They're a business.
Well, yeah, but
a large part of it is
when you donate something to like UNICEF as a business, you're not making money off
well,
of that donation.
you're making money off of that because that's advertising. That's changing the way that you look in the eyes of the community. I've thought a lot about the marketing aspect from that side of it, and they do consider the monetary gain from how you present your company. So,
But Microsoft Learning is not a marketing wing of Microsoft. It's a,
well,
so
no,
they have to show profit.
But yes, but there is also a monetary gain from not only having that out there potentially as a at least partly as a look at what we're doing for the community, and also as a Microsoft support can't support everybody. There's got to be the homegrown. I'm sure Microsoft is ecstatic about all the SQL Saturdays going on because that's
Right.
outstanding. It's free support. It's generating free advertising for the product and so forth and so on. So while I'm not necessarily arguing that it shouldn't be a money-making venture, there's more than one thing to consider about it.
Hold that thought. You guys are in Dallas, right?
Yes.
So I just heard last night from Melissa Dimsak that there's something going on at the SQL Server user group in Dallas. Microsoft is charging you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
They are
That's a
starting
hell of
to
a
charge
topic.
us for our user group meetings
What?
because they have to pay for security.
Do you know why? Because they said, and this is the story I get, because we were able to raise funds
For
for
SQL
SQL Saturday,
And we
we've
did do very
proven
well.
we can raise funds, so they don't need to pay for it anymore.
Oh, give me a
And you know what? That's not what
User
we're
groups
about.
pro-
Thank you for punishing us for having a successful event. Way to go, Microsoft.
user groups provide Microsoft with marketing like
We
gold.
bloody know that.
I mean, how many
So
lessons?
I think we're going to have to start,
You should
swirling
do
the waters.
a
and-
MySQL user group. And you say, "You can charge us. We're going to do like MySQL or NoSQL or something like that. And
Well,
yeah.
somebody brought up the idea of having it hosted at Oracle, which I think would be absolutely phenomenal. That would be my premier vote. We say, okay, let's move our
Oracle
user group to Oracle.
Would they do it?
I heard that they've got an offer on the table that they'll host other products' user groups.
Wow, seriously, I did not know that.
I think I heard something about that.
Now, see, this obviously varies by Microsoft district because in my district in New England, Microsoft is happy to host any group actually at one of their offices for free. I think they actually have open source like a PHP group or something that meets there.
And there are other user groups that meet at the Microsoft campus, but yeah, that particular campus, for whatever reason, whether they've got a really hard, I don't know, what am I trying to say? They're keeping a firmer grip on security or something, and or their security budget, or I don't know what the deal is, but they're being tight asses.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to take a matter of all of us getting together and shouting about it as much as possible in as many places as possible, and I think it'll turn around.
Well, this isn't the first time that we've had a run-in with Microsoft over there. I mean,
You've had a run-in?
Yeah, I know. Right? Well, you know, with like security before, I mean, there was this one time that we didn't have our official Microsoft rep there with us, and it took everything, and this was back when Peter DeBetta was running the group, it took everything he could muster to keep the security guys from kicking us out.
Good God.
And it's like, what do you think we're going to do? Just all of a sudden start writing on the walls? I mean...
Well, we are monkeys.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous. Like, we're just a bunch of children who the only reason we're not doing this is because there's this one guy from Microsoft sitting back there.
But we're a good-sized user group. DFW is a fabulous area for technology. And we regularly have 60 and 80 people showing up every friggin' month for the user group.
More.
I'm being, you know, on an average, right? Because there's more when you're speaking, and this is no joke. When he does his, we've got 2 sessions for part of the year, and he does a pre-session with a series, and then we've got the regular whoever's coming to speak. And on nights when he's speaking, it's easily, you know, 0.5 times, or you know, half again, or double our usual thing.
Wow.
But yeah. So yeah, that's
you know
that's
why?
a good topic. Thank you very
Because
much.
nobody does it pass.
Yeah, do you want to
lotion those nights as well?
talk about that?
Yes. Yes.
Do we hand out free lotion?
Yeah. When I teach you.
Oh, I see. I thought you said
Instead of just raising your hand, if you have a question, I just say squirt your lotion in the air.
Okay.
I stress lotion.
Aim it at Sean's face.
I'm tweeting that.
Yeah, that's just going to be a sound. That's just going to be a soundbite from the show.
That's my ringtone. That's my ringtone. Is that I'm going to aim it at Sean's face? Oh, I've got a call.
Yeah, can you set that up just for Adam?
Here, I'll just do overheard. I'll be nice.
Overheard, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I realize it's.
I'm gonna lose customers after this show.
I'm not doing.
That's okay. Nobody of any consequence really watches. So.
Oh, don't say that. You just insulted everybody that's watching us. I love you. I do. Thank you for coming.
I don't know who you are, but I love you too.
I love you all too, but none of y'all are his customers. So.
Oh yeah, be his customer.
So, yeah. Unless you want to go get MCM training.
Yes.
So, okay. So I realize you said that you hope that you're waiting to see how the direction of the MCM goes. What do you predict? Do you predict that it's okay? That's where we ended up with they weren't making any money, and in these upper echelon things, I mean, they're not making any money off of the official MCA thing either, right? I mean, they're still doing art. They're going to open up. Are they going to open up the MCA to this kind of thing as well? Does absolutely every single thing you do have to make you tons of revenue? I mean, can't you just do it for the sake that we've been beaten up about our certifications for so many years that now we're gonna break even on 1 or 2 of the really upper echelon certs so that we can have a really upper echelon cert that really
You're
means
expecting
something.
that management at MSL, the guy who runs the MCM program, by the way, he's a guy named Joe Sack.
Joe Sack.
And Joe is an awesome guy. I mean, no disrespect to Joe. Any of these comments, in case Joe is watching or not. Joe, if you get to deal with Joe, please do, because he's awesome.
I'm supposed to meet him sometime this week.
Okay. The problem is higher up the stack, the management, and like other managers, they have obviously been promoted to their level of incompetence.
Well, one level past is Peter's Law. I think it's what it's called. That's not right, but somebody looked that up.
So obviously, there's no logic here.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think they're gonna suddenly think, oh yes, let's do something that might make us money in other ways.
Well, and also the one thing is Microsoft did not get to where they are by looking out for other people, which is not to say that
they're not even
bastards or anything.
But they're not even looking out for them, because the more you set up the cert for failure to cheapen it, the worse you're going to be. Because I remember when
setting it up for
when I realized my cert wasn't worth anything. When every asshole I worked with in my company had my same cert and they were complete idiots, and it's like, okay, so anybody can just go to a brain dump and get the thing. Who cares, right? So
stop that.
We are opening ourselves up for brain dumps because I mean I was emailing with Joseph, and I don't think that I'm breaking any trust here. When I was asking him questions, and he said, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that, and it's going to be this, these general types of questions and so on. And of course, that's going to move to keep up with the brain dumps. So they're already expecting that kind of thing is going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And logically, I mean, Joe's. I've talked to him. He's not a moron, like you said, right? So he knows these kinds of things are going to happen. So yes, I think they're automatically setting up the MCM program to be less than it was, and less than they intend for it to be. And that's really sad, because if I ever get my MCM, I don't know how long it's actually going to be.
Oh, I feel bad for the people who went through the 3 weeks. I think they should have like a separate title, like Super MCM or something. And then
we had
the
same thing. This
MCM Prime.
Yeah, we had the same thing in Kempo in this one studio that I was in. The guy started after we had gotten our dans and our second dans and this. The instructor started doing like the fast track to black belt, where
doesn't that defeat the whole purpose?
Right, where he said, okay, I'll get you. You can go from white to black in a year and a half, and he
guaranteed. Yeah,
guaranteed. And he he locked the technique list down by half. And we've got 300 or 400 techniques, so and the thing is like, okay, you go to and you have to pay special to get into this accelerated program, right? So now you're in the accelerated program, and you've got your first dan in a year and a half, and somebody else has taken the full 4 or 5 years to get theirs, and they know all the technique, and you're standing side by side, and actually, since you got your dan first, then he officially outranks you.
Oh, God.
And you see, and it just gets, and you're like, but there's no way that you should be able to look at yourself as any kind of person with any kind of pride and say, I'm on the same level with this guy who did it right, and I did it the cheap way, right? I mean, so I'm with you. I feel the same way. I wanted to be able. I was signed up for that next rotation that they canceled.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
Oh.
And I'm pissed off. And I'm pissed off that I didn't get to go through that.
He missed it. His last company said that he could go through, and then he couldn't, so he signed up for the next round.
Yeah.
No, this is what it is.
I was signed up for
They're
it.
creating a new form of currency that's worth less. So, you make $100,000 a year, but you make $200,000 a year, but it actually buys less than his $100,000. So, and we haven't apparently figured this out. We just stick with the title, and on we go.
You just lost me with that last statement.
You weren't listening. I may have gone off into fantasy land.
I think you did.
Did you follow it?
More or less.
Because I got the whole makes less and thing. And then
I'm doing the kiddo thing of saying, and that's like this, which is like this, and then like that. And
I'm tired today, so.
You're tired today?
Yeah, pass. Good time. If you're not here.
If you're here, it's terrible.
Don't come. It's ridiculous. No, it's a little too much fun some nights.
Yes. So. I'll give. I'm surprised. We went to the party last night, and we were only going to stay for a few minutes because we were both tired. Ended up staying a lot longer than we thought, and I'm not upset at all that we stayed that long. I actually got kind of a second wind, right? But I didn't feel like bowling or anything.
I didn't bowl either.
Because last year it was at the MVP summit when we had it over there.
Let me interrupt you.
And I stayed over there and bowled like all night long.
I just realized this. You did the test on this. Is this going to be like a super choppy recording?
Oh no.
It's possible.
Will the audio come through?
The audio comes through just fine.
Okay, that's the most important thing. You don't care what we look like.
Yeah. Well, we don't care what.
I look like. Jeez.
Okay, so we're at
how we move.
We're at 43.
Yeah.
We're not at about. I got a thing right there.
Shut up. Nobody asked you.
Okay, so what do you want people to know? I'm going to digress way back, and put you on the spot. What do you want people to know about CLR?
About CLR?
Yeah.
That it's a.
If you had three things or so that you could say, you have to know this about it.
Wow.
I know. See, I'm really putting you on the spot, right?
3 things.
Well, an amorphous number of things to know about.
So does that mean also? Does that mean also that you're like an honorary MCM since you teach the class? I mean, do you feel like an honorary MCM?
Sort of, yeah. I'm listed actually on the list.
Okay.
But
then that would be a yes.
But I don't have. But I don't get access to the badge. You log into the MC,
right.
What do they call it? MCP website, and you can get a badge.
Yeah.
They have MCM badges, and I don't get that. So.
You
No,
hold up
well,
your-
without a badge, you're nothing
Well,
to us.
yeah.
So are you allowed to go to pass and like tell people what to do? Move it along, people. MCM, I'll put my bullet in my gun.
Oh, and they had a pass ribbon too for MCMs, which I do not get that.
Oh, you see, that's... tell them, hey, fuck
Next
you,
year I'm
pull up
making
the
my
site.
own
I'm on there. Give me my badge. Okay, so anyway, go ahead.
Oh, so
Scalar.
let's see here. Oh, high performance for scalar stuff, computations, calculations, math. If you're doing, I have a demo that I do where I do 1 plus the input, and I just return it, and I just show, I just run it a million times, both T-SQL and CLR, and I just show that it's the same. There's no additional cost for doing a simple thing. And then I do a next phase. I write in both T-SQL and CLR an algorithm that mathematically reverses a number. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 will come out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's just the simplest algorithm I could think of that you can't actually do it like in one line or expression. It's something you need like a loop for. And the CLR version is 3 times faster. And it's like 10 lines of code.
So that's a really good question. Because I always say that it's really good for like more complex math.
Right.
What defines more complex math? I mean, when should we switch something from T-SQL to CLR and expect to see a performance?
I don't know about math. I've been doing a lot of date work, and that's really
Okay.
common. Math, I think, is less common to see in databases.
Right.
But dates, everyone's messing with dates.
Yeah.
And I actually found some date expressions. I was just playing around with a query for a customer, and it wasn't performing well, and I started putting some of these date expressions into SQL CLR, and it ripped through it.
Right.
And it's really a wake-up call. You have to wonder, actually, a lot of the SQL Server code base was written back in like the Sybase years,
Right.
and they probably haven't updated. There's probably new algorithms for doing a lot of this stuff, and the .NET team got into much newer products, so they're really up on this stuff, and they know what they're doing. And the SQL Server team's obviously kind of lagging behind in this area.
Right.
So it's kind of...
So would you say even something as simple as like formatting dates? Would you get something even from something that simple? Or?
Oh, you might get some. You probably wouldn't get performance, but .NET has so much more flexibility. Like in T-SQL, the format dates you do convert, and then you pass in a style.
Yeah.
And there's only so many styles.
Yeah, and it has to be. And it has to be. You have
Returns of our card.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't care about that.
Well, I'm just saying. That just always struck me as funny how you're going from a strongly typed data type that all I want to do is format it and lose my and go to. That just always struck me as
Well,
funny.
why else would you want to format it if not for display purposes, which is what Varchar is for?
Well, maybe you might want to validate it somewhere else, like an SI stream or something. Maybe you're formatting it.
Well, that begs the question: where should you be doing date formatting?
Exactly. But I'm just saying, it always struck me as funny that we in order to do that, we have to go from stripe to no type.
So
Oh, and then the other is streaming data. So I mentioned I locked up my customer's production box by loading a couple 100 million. Well, actually,
this friend of mine locked up his.
I'll take responsibility. The couple 100 million rows were flying in there. Comparative.
Yeah, sure.
I locked it up for like days using SQL.
Your failure.
There you go.
Fine.
My success. A little
What
later.
have you written about?
I have.
Or just
No,
lo-
I have blog posts.
I was going to say you must.